Hey, how's it going? Um, I'm making this video because I recently started alternate day fasting again. And I remember when I first attempted this a few years ago, there were lots of helpful videos on YouTube that gave me some tips that helped me get started. So I wanted to impart what I learned trying this in case it is helpful to any of you. So about 3 years ago, I started alternate day fasting. And what that means is I wouldn't eat anything with calories. I'd have water, black coffee, and electrolytes that were unflavored, so no calories, for an entire day. So if I ate on Monday, then I would stop eating after dinner on Monday. I would go to sleep. And then all day Tuesday, I wouldn't eat. And then I would eat breakfast on Wednesday. So it's about a 36-hour fast. And I lost 70 pounds, and that wasn't the only thing I was doing, but that played a major role. I was 240 and I got down to 170 doing this. And it was great. It was the most consistent and effective weight loss, getting in shape, food-related thing, diet-related thing that I was able to actually stick with and get results from. So I'm 199 now, and I'm picking this up again to get back in shape, along with other things. It's not the only thing I'm doing, but yeah. And so it was on my mind. I figured I'd share my tips. So, okay, I've explained what alternate day fasting is, and just a couple things before we get started. Some habits are really hard to break, and it takes time. So with anything like this, be patient. If you eat 3 meals a day and you're trying to break that habit or do something new, that is just going to be inherently a little difficult. You have well-worn grooves for that habit. And so it's just going to take a little bit of time. So be patient and experiment, try things out, and listen to your body, see how these things feel, all of that good stuff. And if you don't, talk to your doctor. I don't know anything about medicine. If you are concerned. Yeah. And then let's see. Oh, and there are other options for intermittent fasting. So if you don't want to do the alternate day, you can do an intermittent daily fasted window where you eat maybe between noon and 6 and you don't eat afterwards. If you're just starting, you've never done fasting before, a good couple of things to try would be skipping breakfast and then also not eating after a particular time at night. That's one that gets a lot of people, and it's one that isn't great to do if you are going to bed and you just ate before bed. So those would be two easier habits to kind of experiment with before you do the alternate day. Not eating past a certain point at night and not eating breakfast. So you'll kind of create a little intermittent fasting window, feeding window in that day naturally. So, all right, let's get started. So I got 5 tips. The first one is not related to fasting, but it's going to help a lot. The first 2, actually. Number 1 is getting on a regular sleep schedule. If this is not something you've attempted, this is its own habit that can be very difficult to instill or break depending on what you're doing. But if you're on a regular sleep schedule, this is going to help with a lot of health-related things. Mainly, the reason I'm bringing it up here, obviously getting good sleep is helpful to your health in unbelievable ways. But the reason I'm bringing it up here is that if you're not getting consistent sleep, it's going to be really hard to tell what's working for your body and what's not working for your body. You're not going to be able to listen to your body in the same way if you have inconsistent sleep. You're going to feel really bad some days. Things are going to happen. You're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know what's causing what. But if you have a consistent sleep schedule, that's going to make it way easier to tell what is happening with your body when you're fasting, when you're eating, what's your energy level, all of that stuff. So if that's not something you've delved into before, I highly recommend getting on a regular sleep schedule. Basically go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time. There's more to it than that, or you can get more detailed than that, obviously. I wouldn't dive too deep into that rabbit hole. I would just do a basic sleep schedule where you feel like you're pretty consistent. And that brings us to tip number 2. So that's take a long walk every day. When I was doing this, starting this journey, I would take a long walk first thing in the morning, pretty much first thing in the morning, and I would get up when the sun came up. So I had heard that getting blue light in your eyes early in the morning was good. It kickstarted the cortisol in your system and kickstarted your, what is that word? Circadian rhythm. So So I would get up when the sun came up and I would go for a walk first thing, about an hour and a half walk. And if you can just do an hour, that's great. I think I started with just maybe 30 minutes and then gradually got more and more as I just enjoyed the walk more. This is another kind of overall tip for this stuff, is start with whatever you can, wherever you are, and then let momentum come from the first, getting consistent about the smaller steps. So if you walk 20 minutes every day, first thing in the morning or early in the morning, I think that will naturally feel good, and then you'll want to continue to do it. And so you'll maybe do a longer walk, or you'll start to increase it. But getting going every single day is the first step, and then worry about, the length of the walk or what feels right to you, similar to the sleep schedule. And that's going to be the same for fasting. Okay, so now into the fasting tips. Number 3, ease into it. So when you first start, if you're going to attempt alternate day fasting, I would recommend starting with skipping breakfast, not eating before a certain time at night, at least to get used to that habit a little bit, and to kind of break the 3 meal a day thing. That's just hardwired stuff, and it's pretty tricky to ignore hunger at first. But you get pretty good at it. And obviously the benefits of alternate day fasting and intermittent fasting are easy to track down I assume that you're already curious about it and already know some of the benefits. So look into those if you need to. But otherwise, I would say just if you attempt your first alternate day fast and you're not going to eat all day, and you break your fast, after lunch, you break your fast for dinner, that's all right. Be patient. These things take time to groove in. What I did when I first attempted my alternate day fast, I did some of these little smaller experiments, and when I got comfortable with them, then I was like, all right, we're doing an alternate day. And I think I had a smoothie the first day I tried it. And then I think the second day I tried it, I was all right. I powered through, or maybe I had a smoothie a couple hours later that second time. And then after that, I was good to go. And I did a 6-week stint. So I was eating one day, not eating the next day, eating one day, not eating the next day for 6 weeks straight. And then I did these at multiple times. So when I did that, I think I lost about 20 pounds in that 6 weeks. And so, I would just do it in these kind of little blocks and stick to it for a little while. So that's what I recommend for that. Another point on easing into it is that don't worry too much about what you're eating on your feasting day. So you have your fasting day and your feasting day. When you're eating, when you first start doing this, it's such a intense habit to get used to and to break old habits that worrying too much about what you're eating on your feasting day just adds stress that will overwhelm the ability to fast every day. At least that was my experience. And I heard this tip from someone else on YouTube when I first started, and it was incredibly helpful. So I would recommend that at first you don't worry at all what you're eating. If you're already eating healthy, just keep eating healthy. If you're already eating well, just keep eating well on the days you eat. But if you're not eating well, I would either attempt to start eating well as its own habit to change and get comfortable with that, and then do alternate day fasting, or start with alternate day fasting and then worry about what you're eating. That's what I did. It was very difficult for me to change my diet without any results, without seeing any results, and the results were so far in the future. With alternate day fasting, the results come pretty quickly. At least they did for me. And so that gave me a little bit of momentum, and then allowed me to get excited about being healthier. So at first I was eating whatever I wanted. Now I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't, binging. But if I wanted pizza, I'd have pizza. If I wanted macaroni and cheese, I'd have macaroni and cheese. And if I just wanted, eggs and broccoli, I'd have eggs and broccoli. Like whatever I wanted, I would just have that within reason. But I wasn't worried too much about it. But then as I gained momentum, as things started going well, I wanted to be even more healthy. It's the same with the walk. As I enjoyed the walk, I started to increase the time that I would walk in the morning until I got to about an hour and a half every day. And that was really great. So also helps with sleep. So those are my 2 So for the ease into it, if you break your fast the first day or the first couple times you attempt this, don't beat yourself up. Be patient. This is a tricky habit to instill, and you're trying to break really old habits. And then also don't worry too much about what you're eating when you're feasting. Okay. Number 4, find a zero calorie electrolyte mix. I use the unflavored Element mix. That's what I've been using forever. I actually take it every day. When I'm eating, I'll have the flavored one. I like the chocolate a lot. I know that sounds weird, but the chocolate salt is the best flavored element in my opinion. But when I'm fasting, I just do the unflavored, and it helps a lot with everything. I mean, it's good for you anyways, but it helps with fasting as well. Getting those electrolytes in your system. It's going to avoid any headaches. Drink lots of water. Obviously, I didn't put that tip in here, but I'll just throw that in the 0-calorie electrolyte mix section. Drink lots of water. Drink as much water as you need. If you're hungry, have a glass of water. My rule is kind of, if I use the restroom, I have a glass of water. I have some water. So that's my rule. And then number 5 is weigh yourself first thing every day. So the reason I started doing this is that if you don't weigh yourself at first thing every day, you really don't know. You can't compare your weight to your last day's weight or your last week's weight because you have no idea. Like if you just ate, if you just this, if you just that, you just don't know. So in order to make this a little more consistent for myself, I wake up, I use the restroom if I need to use the restroom, and then I weigh myself. And I weigh myself in my pajamas every single morning in the same exact outfit. So I know I'm always wearing this outfit. I just relieved myself if I needed to, and I'm ready to go. I don't drink water. I don't have any coffee. I don't do anything else. I just wake up, relieve myself. I'm in my pajamas that I wear every night, and I weigh myself. And then I write down my weight. And that's what I did every single morning. And that gave me a really good way to judge what was happening. And obviously it's not, a perfect system. Sometimes you ate a big meal the next day and you're going to, and all that stuff. But I found that to be a really good way to kind of ease my own mind and know that I was checking the same time under the same circumstances as best I could. And the sleep schedule helps with this, obviously, because, you're waking up at the same time, you're getting good sleep, every night, or somewhat consistent sleep every night. So those are my 5 tips for getting started with intermittent fasting. I hope this was helpful to someone. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If I can help, I will. And yeah, I'm starting this journey again. I started just recently. So it's fresh in my mind. So if you have any questions, shoot them my way. Thanks so much.